I am Heather, a 32-year-old woman living in Virginia and working as an accountant. I met my husband Mike 9 years ago through some mutual friends. He currently works in a field that requires him to be on call, which means that he is constantly traveling. Although we don't spend a lot of time together, we're still very happy with each other. Mike always makes sure to get me something when he comes back from one of his business trips, and I always make sure we have reservations at a nice restaurant for a date. It has been tough, but it has all felt worth it. Never in any relationship have we felt so safe and loved. I guess you could compare our relationship to those that you see in the movies. We were madly and deeply in love with each other. We always had each other's backs. Our problems were his and vice versa, which is why this incident confused and hurt me to such a large extent. He says it all started 2 weeks ago. My husband, Mike, was called on duty again. He would need to spend 6 days in the next city, which was a good 10-hour drive from our place. I was a little sad because Mike had only just come back home 5 days ago from a week-long business trip, and he was going back again.
I can't believe you're leaving again so soon, Mike. It feels like we just had you back home.
I know, babe, I hate being away from you too, but duty calls and I have to go. It's part of the job.
I understand that, baby, but it's been so hard lately. You're always on these trips, and I miss you so much. I need you here with me.
I miss you too, darling. Believe me, I wish I could be here more often. But you know how demanding my work can be. It's not easy for me either.
I just worry about you. These trips, the long hours, the stress, it's taking a toll on you, and I can't help but feel like I'm being left behind.
Milo, you've never left behind. You're always my thoughts no matter where I am. I love you and I'll always come back to you or so. You're my anchor, my home.
I love you too, sweetheart. But sometimes I need more than just words. I need your presence, your support. I need to know that I'm a priority in your life.
You are a priority, I promise. I come back, I'll make it up to you, hero. We'll have quality time together. Just the two of us will reconnect and make sure our bond stays strong.
I hope so, because right now it feels like I'm fading into the background. I need to feel loved and cared for, not just when you're physically here, but every day.
You'll always be loved. I'll work on finding a better balance, I promise. We'll figure this out together, and I'll do whatever it takes to make you happy. We will. I'm here for you, always.
Feeling a little better, I helped Mike pack and kissed him goodbye. I then crawled into bed and fell asleep, feeling just a little under the weather. I just chalked it up to tiredness from work. Being upset at Mike's leaving? The next day, I woke up with a couple of sniffles and a slightly itchy throat. So I took all the medication I needed to take to prevent it, along with some good home remedies to patch me up. I went to work and came back home feeling much worse. I literally passed out on my bed. When I finally regained consciousness, I realized that something was seriously wrong. My body felt heavy as if weighed down by an invisible force. Every movement was a Herculean effort, and a dull ache pulsed through my entire being. It was as if the energy within me had been drained, leaving behind a hollow shell. Noticing the sniffles and itchy throat from the previous day had transformed into a full-blown assault on my respiratory system. Each breath was a struggle, accompanied by wheezing and a persistent cough that racked my weakened frame. The home remedies and over-the-counter medications I had relied on earlier seemed ineffective against this relentless onslaught. Free icomplety and priors, I mustered what little strength I had and forced myself to go to work, determined not to let this illness defeat me. But the moment I stepped through the office doors, exhaustion washed over me. A tidal wave. My limbs felt like lead, and my mind struggled to focus on even the simplest of tasks. My boss gave me the day off and told me to come back when I was better. By the time I made it back home, I was completely drained, physically and emotionally. My body screamed for rest, and I obliged collapsing onto my bed with a bone-deep weariness. As I drifted in set of consciousness, the illness continued its relentless assault on my body. The once familiar comfort of my bed became a battleground where fever raged and chills coursed through my veins. Each moment was met with a renewed sense of weakness, as if my body was waging a losing war against an invisible enemy. In my days, I managed to call Mike. I needed him by my side right now because there was no way I was going to be able to take care of myself. I felt way too weak to even get up.
Mike, I can't do this alone. I'm so sick, and I need you here with me, please. Just come back home. I can't take care of myself right now.
Babe, I wish I could, but I can't leave work right now. You know how demanding my job is, and they need me here. Sorry, but I can't come back.
Can't you see how much I need you? This isn't just some minor illness. I'm scared, Mike. I feel weak, and I don't know what's happening to me. How can you prioritize work over your own wife's well? Like charts.
It's not about prioritizing work over you. It's about fulfilling my responsibilities. I have deadlines, meetings, and commitments that I can't just walk away from. I have to think about the bigger... I'm sure.
But the bigger picture. What about our marriage, Mike? What about the vows we took to be there for each other in sickness and in health? This is when I need you the most, and you're choosing work over me. I'm not choosing work over you. I'm trying to balance everything. I can't just abandon my job whenever something comes up. You have to understand that. And understand that my husband can't be bothered to be here when I'm suffering. Understand that your career takes precedence over my well-being. No, I can't understand that. It's not fair. And it's not how a marriage should work.
You're being unfair, Heather. You're making it seem like I don't care, but that's not true. I care about you, but I have responsibilities. I can't just drop everything.
Well, it's clear where your priorities lie. I needed you and you let me down. I hope you never have to feel as abandoned and betrayed as I do right now. Goodbye, Mike.
Softly, baby, please.
Feeling utterly betrayed, I hung up the phone, tears streaming down my face. It was as if our once unbreakable bond had been shattered into irreparable fragments. I couldn't fathom how the person I loved and trusted the most could turn his back on me in my time of need. Disbelief washed over me as I couldn't comprehend the reality of his response. How could the man I loved and trusted turn her abandon me in such a vulnerable moment? Anger surged through my veins, fueled by the injustice of it all. How dare he prioritize his own health and fears over my well-being? The very foundation of this relationship seemed to crumble beneath me, and I struggled to make sense of his actions. Confusion clouded my mind as I grappled with conflicting thoughts. I questioned my own understanding of the situation and the man I thought I knew so well. My son on recovering. 2 days later, I was only getting worse. Emma ended up taking me to the ER and I got admitted into the hospital. After running extensive tests on me for hours, the doctor told me that my sickness was not just a regular flu, but rather a much more debilitating respiratory illness that required immediate attention. The doctor also informed me that my emergency contact, my husband, Mark, was called, but he did not pick up. As I lay in the hospital bed, my body weak and my spirit shattered. A mix of emotions swirled within me. The pain from my illness had intensified, and I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of disappointment and abandonment. How could Mike, my supposed life partner, fail to answer the call when I needed him the most? I yearned for the comfort and support that only a spouse could provide, but Mike was nowhere to be found. Anger simmered beneath the surface, fueled by the overwhelming sense of betrayal. How could he turn a blind eye to my distress? The person I had trusted with my life had abandoned me in my darkest hour. It was a betrayal that cut deep, leaving me questioning the foundation of our relationship. Confusion also clouded my thoughts. I couldn't comprehend how someone who had once shown such love and dedication could become so callous. It seemed incomprehensible that the person I had built a life with could turn his back on me when I needed him the most. And it seemed incomprehensible that the person I had built a life with could turn his back on me when I needed him the most. But amidst the anger and confusion, there was also a deep sense of sadness. A profound disappointment washed over me as I realized that the person I had once relied on for strength and support had let me down. The loss of trust and the shattered illusions of our perfect love story weighed heavily on my heart. Emma walked into my room, which pulled me out of my thoughts. She looked confused and dazed. Worried, I asked her what was wrong. Emma told me that she had seen my husband Mike in the hospital for actually a second. All the negative thoughts in my head vanished, and my heart immediately felt lighter. However, the look on Emma's face made my stomach drop.
Well, where is Mike?
About that, he seemed in a rush and went in the opposite direction.
What do you mean? Where'd he go?
Actually asked the receptionist, and he told me that Mike went to the maternity ward. His girlfriend just went into labor.
It's his girlfriend, but he's married to me. How is that even possible?
I don't know, Heather. It doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you further. I wish I had more answers for you. I can't even imagine what you're going through right now, but please know that I'm here for you no matter what.
Thank you. Your support means the world to me. I just need some time to process all of this.
Interpretation is the pure intellicy. I felt a mix of rage and hurt, a potent cocktail of emotions that threatened to consume me. How could Mike have deceived me for so long? How could he have carried on a secret affair while I lay in that hospital bed, fighting for my health and hoping for his support? The betrayal was like a betrayal on top of a betrayal, leaving me feeling like a fool for not seeing the signs earlier. Grief washed over me, mourning the loss of the marriage I had once cherished. The pain of betrayal cut deep, leaving scars that would take time to heal. Here is the revised paragraph results with corrections to spelling, punctuation, and accuracy based on the context provided in all me. The affair had been going on for years. How had I been so naive? Why hadn't I ever questioned it? Why wasn't it a red flag for me when Mike would habitually evade all questions regarding his business? Trips, I also looked into his iCloud and found an entire folder dedicated to his affair partner. I opened it only to find out that his affair partner was his secretary. Everything I was finding out felt like punch after another punch in the gut. I wanted to throw up with every new piece of information, but I knew I needed to remain strong and follow through with the plan. Step 2 was filing the divorce papers and moving out. Emma offered me her place to stay. She was set to move to another state in a couple of weeks thanks to a promotion at work. She reasoned with me at success by telling me she needed a roommate anyway. I moved everything that belonged to me out of the house, along with the things that I had paid more for. You see, Mike made half of my salary, so we proportionally paid for things together. So unless there was something that he had fully and completely bought, I took everything else. Never have I ever been so grateful to have kept our finances separate. I got in touch with a good divorce lawyer who wrote up a pretty ironclad agreement demanding alimony from Mike on account of his adultery and negligence. Step 3 was waiting for Mike to get back and be greeted by an empty house and divorce papers. This happened 2 days later. He spammed my phone with calls and texts, anxious about my whereabouts. I was tempted to answer because he seemed so genuine and desperate, but Emma stopped me.
He keeps calling and texting me. He sounds so desperate, like he genuinely wants to talk. Maybe I should answer.
Heather, I understand that it's difficult, but remember why we're doing this. He hurt you deeply, and this is your chance to regain control. Don't let him manipulate your emotions. You deserve better than someone who betrayed you. Stay strong and stay focused. We're doing what's best for you.
You're right. I need to stay strong. I won't let him reel me back in. Thank you for reminding me of that.
That's any time. We're in this together, and I'll support you every step of the way.
She was right. I couldn't get sucked in right now when Mike had hurt me to the highest degree possible. Instead, I carried on with the plan. Step 4 was spreading the word. I emailed Mike's family. Here's the file containing the evidence of Mike's infidelity. My email was titled, "Congratulations on a new grandchild. Unfortunately, his father is a piece of crap." I also emailed Mike's superiors, our department, to ensure that Mike only received the worst consequences. I filed a report with the HR department. I hoped that Mike would face the worst consequences. Step 5 was to make myself disappear from Mike's life. I blocked his number and discontinued mine. blocked him and his secretary from all my social media platforms and made my accounts private, so he would have no access to me. I found another better paying job in the state Emma and I were moving to. So I quit my current job. Emma and I moved to another state, and I finally got to start over again. In the weeks that followed, the results of my plan came to life. The evidence I had compiled of his affair, meticulously organized in a folder, became a weapon that shattered his world. First, his job was not spared from the consequences of his actions. The email I had sent to his superiors and the HR department, exposing his infidelity, led to an internal investigation. It didn't take long for the truth to come to light, and both Mike and his secretary were promptly fired. The company couldn't afford to be associated with such unethical behavior. But the repercussions didn't end there. Word spread like wildfire, reaching his family and friends. The email I had sent to his family, titled with biting sarcasm, caused shockwaves within the circle. The truth of Mike's betrayal became a bitter pill to swallow, and his own family disowned him. The relationships he once cherished crumbled, leaving him isolated and alone. As for the divorce proceedings, my ironclad agreement worked in my favor. The evidence of Mike's adultery and negligence, combined with the demand for alimony, left him with little room to maneuver. The court recognized the weight of his transgressions and granted me the financial support I deserved. As with each consequence that befell him, I felt a surge of victory and vindication. The sense of justice served provided closure and a renewed sense of empowerment. I had taken control of my life, dismantling the web of deceit that had ensnared me for far too long. Mike's life crumbled around him, stripped of the facade he had carefully maintained. The consequences he faced served as a reminder that actions have consequences, and the choices we make can come back to haunt us. But more importantly, the victory I tasted was not just about punishing Mike. It was about reclaiming my own worth and finding peace within myself. I had shed the burden of his betrayal, emerging stronger and more determined than ever before. The sense of triumph I felt was not rooted in revenge alone, but in the rediscovery of my resilience and the rebuilding of my life on my own terms. In the end, I stood tall, a survivor of heartbreak and betrayal, ready to embrace the future with newfound strength and an unwavering belief in my own worth. The past was behind me, and I was ready to move forward, leaving it all behind.